Here's how I look now compared to how I used to look. I've made a big change as a skinny fat guy. In this video, I'll share the 3 things I focused on to get a leaner physique by summer, in case it helps you too. And for each key point, I'll walk you through 3 steps to make it more simple. Remember, these have just helped me, they might not help you. Point number 1, my body reflects my choices over time. So first thing was I realized that the body I have right now is just simply a result of the choices I decided to do yesterday, the day before, and months before that too. But here's how I started making better ones. Step 1 is eating shapes my future body. So whatever I'm eating, I always remember that this is gonna shape my future body. So with that in mind, it makes me eat smarter, not just immediately for some pleasure. I have that in my mind, knowing, okay, what I'm eating is about to affect how I'm gonna look, right? So let me pick wisely. Step 2 is I stopped delaying discipline. So if you want a nice lean physique, there is no shortcut. You have to cut calories, you have to track it. Not have to, but this, I'm talking to myself, is that if it's that you guys are just, I'm talking to my younger self. But yeah, step 2 is you have to stop delaying discipline. The short way is the long way. What I mean by that is the short way is not a short way because it'll never get you there. If you try to half-ass track and half-ass workout, don't track your workouts, don't track rest and all this stuff, you're not gonna, don't be surprised when you get the bill of a half-assed student. This is what I realized. You actually have to put in discipline and actually track everything and make sure you're hitting your protein goal every single day. And you have to do this over and over again, day by day. It's like beating an addiction. You don't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm gonna get a lean physique. You have to wake up every day thinking, okay, this is what I want. And these are the choices that I'm going to make to get this goddamn physique. And step 3 is choosing pain now instead of pleasure later. So short-term pleasure usually ends up with long-term pain. Example, dieting for a leaner physique equals long-term pleasure. So when I realized this, I simply just was like, okay, I obviously need to just be more disciplined, because dieting is simple, not easy. That's another thing I learned. It's simple, not easy. So you just have to remember to pick pleasure later. Like, how many times have you eaten your whole wardrobe and you just feel so guilty afterwards and you just don't want to do anything and you feel like a fat piece of slob. You just feel horrible, right? Once you've experienced that enough, you will just stop and you will just actually lock in and actually, do your diets, do your workouts, track your protein, track your calories, do all this stuff, actually have discipline. And another thing, it's not always about discipline. It's making sure that you're in the easiest environment as absolute possible to actually win. So being in, moving places, if you live with a lot of people and they eat only junk food, it'd be super hard to, lose weight if you were surrounded by fat people. So another easy thing is just make sure your environment is super easy. It's not all about discipline. The most in shape people I know, their surroundings and environment and the people they hang out with, literally shape them. They hang out with very elite athletes. They make sure that they only have good food in their house, just make it super easy. You have to make it really inconvenient to get nasty food. Make sure there's no DoorDash on your phone. Make sure your credit cards aren't connected to any fast food restaurant. You see what I mean? You have to make it as inconvenient as possible to actually want to gain weight, and then make it as easy as possible to lose weight. Key point number 2 was cutting too many calories. So second, I used to cut too many calories too fast, which made things pretty much impossible. So here's what I did instead to get lean for summer. Step 1 is I started to cut 4 months early. You probably see this all the time where people are in the gym 2 months before summer and they're doing running and they're doing Stairmaster and they stop eating everything, no junk food, only lettuce and tofu. But the thing is, that's not gonna be sustainable. And you might lose a little bit of weight, but then you're just gonna crash out and eat everything. It's a very common theme, right? It's almost impossible for someone who doesn't do that regularly to have the discipline to actually out of nowhere, just because in 2 months, summer's gonna happen, to now have perfect discipline and a nice environment to succeed in. No, you have to start your cut early. If you actually wanna get leaner, you wanna start your cut earlier, right? So that you can be in a more okay-ish deficit. You wanna be in minus 500, minus 800. Not minus 1,000. And when I say minus 800, that's still a lot. But how I do it is I cut minus 500, right? Or minus 700. And then I walk a lot. If I'm at work and I'm just standing, I walk, right? Back and forth, pacing. I make sure I do treadmill, 30 minutes at least every single day, 7.5 incline, 2.5 speed, really easy. You can just watch YouTube or Instagram and walk on the treadmill. And yeah, try to get as many steps as you can in the day. And that'll make your deficit really, really easy. Step 2 is I ate my body weight times 11. So to make this very simple, if I'm 180 pounds,
180 pounds times 11 is, I don't even know, like I think 1,800, something around there. And that number is how many calories you're supposed to eat in a day if you want to lose around 2-ish pounds of weight each week. And yeah, that's like your new number that you just have to make sure you don't go over, right? You have to make it as easy as possible to succeed. So make sure when you're at the grocery store, or like I order my groceries online through Walmart, you have to make sure that you are picking the healthiest foods, right? Don't go to the grocery store hungry, like it's for an obvious reason. You're gonna just buy like random stuff. And what I recommend is getting your groceries shipped to you, because it's not that much more, maybe like $10 extra. And then you can actually see what you're ordering to make sure you're ordering good things like eggs, low calorie bread, zero sugar drinks. Like there's a lot of options that you can make. You don't have to only eat salads. You can have some delicious meals that are very low calorie. You just have to obviously get rid of most of the nasty foods, like, because the only reason that most people are overweight is because it's way too easy for them to eat. Right? It's way too easy for them to eat. So if you make it super inconvenient to eat, right? Like think about it. Why were people back then, like 1950s, so skinny? It's because there was no DoorDash, there was no fast food, there was no delivery services to get food, there was barely packaged foods. Like all this stuff was invented very recently. And none of it is bad. It's just that it's way too easy to overconsume. And that's the only thing that matters. If you eat more calories than you burn, you are going to gain weight. So you want to make it as inconvenient as possible. Put a goddamn lock on everything and throw the key into the freaking ocean. Like you make it very, very inconvenient to eat so that it's super hard for you to gain weight. And step number 3 was I added walking instead of running. So yeah, this was another unlock for me. I used to, cut by 1,000 calories, and then I would run 5 miles every single day, and I'd swim miles on top of that. And that worked for a little bit, but it was not sustainable at all. So what I did instead was I simply just started to walk more. And once I started walking more, like whenever I'm at the grocery store, I walk as much as I can. If I'm going somewhere, I make sure to park as far away as possible from the entrance so that I have the most steps there, the most steps back. And at work, if I'm just standing around doing nothing, I try to pace back and forth. Like all these tiny little walks actually matter a lot. You'd be very surprised how many calories that you burn just from walking. So walking as much as you can throughout the day, like it's a cheat, honestly. And key point number 3 is a very obvious one, but it's running miles to lose weight. So third, I used to run miles to lose weight, but that didn't work for me. So here's what I did instead. Step 1 was I swapped the running for walking. So instead of running 5 miles every single day, which I used to do, like I would just run 5 miles because I'm like, oh, and it works, right? But like for me, it was not sustainable. And again, this video is pretty much like me saying what I've learned. It might help you, it might not. But with that said, running for me was not helpful because it hurt, especially if you're a bigger man like I was, like 220 pounds. Running hurt my ankles, hurt my joints, hurt my shins. It was very like annoying to get ready to go running.
I had to it took forever to get ready to actually start running, and it was just not ideal. I just did not like it. I liked running. I love running. It's just that to lose weight specifically, it did not work for me. So step 2 was I aimed for, and that's gonna be a big number, but 15,000 steps daily. Now it's a huge number, but if you work and you are able to walk while you are working, it is not that hard. You'd be astonished at how many times you were just standing still and not doing anything. And what you could be doing is just pacing back and forth, right? If you have a friend that you talk to at work, instead of just standing there and doing nothing, walk. It doesn't have to be like jogging and running. It doesn't have to be these speed walking competitions, but just walk while you're talking and do that the entire time that you're talking. Because like, think about it. If you walked for 30 minutes and talked for 30 minutes, A, you wouldn't even realize that you just talked for 30 minutes. And B, you just walked for 30 minutes, and that's like 100 to 150 calories that we have extra in our pocket for any mistakes that we have. So it's just like you need to walk more. This was such a good thing that I realized. You just need to walk more. Instead of running miles, instead of doing thousands of steps on the Stairmaster, instead of biking in an ultra marathon, just walk more, specifically to lose weight. That's what's helped me. Step 3 is sync your apps to track your calories burned. If you aren't already tracking your calories, you have to be doing that. So do that. Download any calorie tracking app, and you want to sync your steps in the health app for your iPhone. I don't know how to do it on Android. But yeah, you do that, and then it'll tell you how many calories you burn from just walking. Aim for 10,000 steps minimum, 15,000 steps ideally. And if you want to go overboard, 20,000 steps is perfect. Like for that day, if you can get 10,000 steps, you're good. 20,000 steps, you're doing amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, I hope you guys all get that lean summer physique you guys all want. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And if you want, you can click the next one that's showing up right now. Love you all.